Namaste. This is David Hawthorne at astroview.com. Today's the 15th of August 2018. The following is the Vedic astrology reading for Omarosa Manigault, based on the 5th of February 1974 at 10:54 p.m. in Youngstown, Ohio. Now, using Vedic astrology from India in the sidereal zodiac, we see that if we looked east on the horizon at the time of birth, the sixth sign of the zodiac was ascending or rising at 13 degrees 23 minutes of Virgo. So this is known as Kanya Lagna, Virgo rising. This is an earth sign ruled by Bud, by Mercury. We say that earth sign persons are very practical, self-made, hard-working, truthful, loyal, dutiful, ambitious. We do say that Virgo is symbolized as the Virgin, so it's considered a very sattvic, a very pure rising sign to have. The sixth sign, however, does relate to the sixth bhava, the sixth house. So frequently Virgo rising sign persons have sixth house issues in their lives. And the sixth house is conflict, disputes, enemies, fire, theft, and cheating against them, false allegations against them, financial difficulties, health issues. Now, we do say Virgo is very intellectual and very perceptive, analytical, communicative, and critical. In the second house, we have the seventh sign Libra, or Tula. In the third house, the eighth sign Scorpio, or Vrishik. Fourth house, ninth sign Sagittarius, or Danu. Rahu and Danu. This is the northern node of the moon at 4 degrees 4 minutes. Rahu gives desires and ambition, and this is the house of property and family life. So she desires to live well. In the fifth house, we have the 10th sign Capricorn, or Makar. This is Shukra, Surya, and Guru, Venus, Jupiter, Venus, Sun, and Jupiter in Capricorn. This is also an earth sign, like Virgo is an earth sign. This also makes her very earthy, very practical, self-made, ambitious, hardworking, truthful, and loyal. Now, Venus rules the second house of wealth, status, speech, and family life, and it's in the house of higher education. So she can study and get involved in the fine arts, the performing arts, healing arts, fashion, design, beauty, entertainment, music, theater, the arts. She can also study law. Sun in the fifth house gives royal mind. She thinks big. There is a connection with the 12th house, so there's a connection with international activities as well. And Jupiter in the fifth house gives education as well. She has a bachelor's degree and she has a master's degree, and she also studied theology. In the sixth house, we have the 11th sign Aquarius, which is an air sign. So this is Bud in Kum, Mercury in Aquarius. Now, Mercury rules the chart, and it's in an air sign. So she's very unconventional, imaginative, inventive, and humanitarian. She has a lot of advanced concepts. But here is a major issue in life. Mercury rules the chart, and it's in the sixth house. This is called a Dustan Bhava, inauspicious house. So planets going into the sixth house become weak. And this connects her also with disputes, conflicts, litigation, bankruptcy, divorce. I think she's had at least one divorce. And then there was also loss of a close person to some health issue. But whenever the first house ruler or the second house ruler or the third house ruler goes into the sixth house, the person is often involved in conflicts. There's worry, there's impatience, distrust of other people, and keeps her constantly engaged in debts, disputes, health, and legal problems. Even though she was involved in reality television on The Apprentice, and she worked in the White House, there was always a lot of conflict. She does not have a good reputation. In the seventh house, we have the 12th sign Pisces. In the eighth house, the first sign Aries. And so this is Mongol and Mish. This is Mina. Now Mars in its own sign is actually considered favorable. So this can give her the marital bond, and it can give her some easy money, some windfalls in life. She received a very high salary working in the White House, the highest salary a staff member could have. It's about $180,000. And she was offered about another $360,000 to continue to work for President Trump on his campaign. But she must have thought that $15,000 a month was not as much as she might be able to make through her book and on tours. So maybe that's what happened there. When Mars is in its own sign, it gives a person courage and makes her very active. In the ninth house, second sign Taurus or Vrishab, 10th house, third sign Gemini or Matun. This is a major issue in her life right here. This is Shani and Ketu, Saturn retrograde at 4 degrees 43 minutes. Now, retrograde planets at the time of birth, such as Saturn and Venus, have no adverse effects. However, Saturn at 4 degrees is conjunct Ketu, the southern node of the moon, at 4 degrees, and it's under the seventh aspect of Rahu at 4 degrees. So this Saturn is completely eclipsed by the north and south nodes of the moon. These are mathematical ecliptic points in the zodiac. They do cause the eclipse of the sun and the moon every year since the beginning of time. So it's whenever you have an afflicted Saturn, that's when you have worry, you have impatience, and you distrust other people. And then the ruler of the chart in the sixth house, and this sixth house, by the way, Aquarius, is ruled by Saturn. So this also causes the issues with debts, disputes, health issues, and legal issues, and mental tension. She's most likely to end up with some problems with arthritis, rheumatism, or gout. This causes trouble for the physical structure, including teeth, neck, back, spine, knees, joints, and ankles at some point in life. Now we do have moon in its own sign, and it's opposite the sun, so she's born on the eve of a full moon. The moon is at 11 degrees. It would go up to 15, 20, and 23 degrees. When it's exactly opposite sun at 23 degrees, it would be the full moon. So she's born just hours before the full moon. But full moon persons get public recognition. Everybody says, look, there's a full moon. So people notice people who are born under a full moon. And this is moon in its own sign, and this is the house of income and friendships and fulfillment of desires. So this gives income to people through working with the public. Moon is public. So it's a bright moon. So she can work with hotels, restaurants, import, export, teaching, entertainment. She was in entertainment. She was on American Apprentice. Moon's in its own sign of Cancer, which is favorable. This is a water sign. It does make her a bit sensitive and intuitive. And then in the 12th house, we have the fifth sign, Leo, or Simha. The sun ruling the 12th house is in the 5th house. This sometimes gives education away from one's birthplace. and some education connected with ashrams or monasteries, convents. Maybe that's where the interest came for the religious education. To become, I think she became a minister. Now, when we overlay the systems approach to Vedic astrology, we say that there are 4 planets that will never cause harm for Virgo. And these include Moon, ruling the house of income and friendships, and Mother. Mercury, ruling the chart itself. Venus, ruling wealth and status. And Jupiter, ruling property. Now, one of the reasons there's been some issues with husband, and she has no children, is because of Jupiter is in old age degrees. There's only 30 degrees possible, the 0 to 30. Anything past 25 degrees is called old age, and an old person means well, but they're weak. They don't have the power to protect and provide for you. And this is the debilitation sign for Jupiter. So whenever Jupiter is debilitated in a woman's chart, she does not get support for the long term from husband or children. This is also causing some weakness of the liver, gallbladder, and the hips. But the bigger issue is that a debilitated Jupiter, weak in old age degrees, says that she operates outside the norm of religion. She sets her own codes, her own morality. So she didn't think twice about recording other people in the White House. She didn't see there was any ethical issue with that whatsoever. And of course, her position is that nobody would believe what she said if she didn't have evidence. Virgos can be very perceptive, very analytical, very communicative, and very critical. They make good critics. They usually see things very clearly. They know what motivates people. So she saw a lot of what was going on. But they can be touchy and sensitive over time. Physically sensitive, emotionally sensitive. And she was born during a full moon. President Trump was also born during a full moon. But his moon is afflicted by Rahu and Ketu. And her moon is not afflicted. Now for Virgo, Saturn ruling the 6th house, Mars ruling the 8th, and Sun ruling the 12th are functional malefic planets. They do not give you support. Saturn brings conflicts and disputes. Mars brings setbacks and obstructions. And Sun brings losses, expenses, depression, isolation, separation, hospitalization, or imprisonment. Now Mars throws an aspect 4, 7, and 8 houses away, but it doesn't cause any harm. It's outside the 5-degree orb of Moon and the rising sign degree. Saturn is a malefic planet, and it's actually afflicting Ketu and Rahu and Ketu are afflicting Saturn. So this is a big mess over here. Look at Saturn here. Saturn rules the masses, service to humanity, and it's in the house of professional life. So she was involved in the masses, well, these reality television shows. She was on 2 or 3 of them. Saturn throws an aspect 3, 7, and 10 houses away, so it's not causing trouble. And Sun is outside the 5-degree orb of Jupiter and outside the 5-degree orb of Venus, and its 7th aspect is benign. So this is helpful to her that the functional malefic Saturn, Mars, and Sun are not causing any adverse effects with the regular planets, with the 7 regular planets in her chart. So that also supports her in her rising high in life. See, this is interesting. She started coming to her own power, and she's been with President Trump for about 10 years. So that goes, see what happened. She went into the Venus main period in August 2005. It runs until August 2025. Venus rules wealth and status. It's in the house of education. It's with Sun, which is the king and the government. It's with Jupiter, which is law, publishing, and property. This is interesting. See, I think that this Venus main period, Jupiter subperiod, was fine. In fact, she ended up working in the White House. But look what happened here just at the end of this June 2018. She went into the Saturn subperiod. She was actually let go, I think it was in December 2017. So there's that Jupiter that is debilitated and weak, and it is combust. It's within 6 degrees of the Sun. So it couldn't quite provide for her. But now she's in Saturn, and this is not favorable. It rules litigation, disputes, bankruptcy, divorce, fire, theft, and cheating against her, and false allegations. It's a malefic planet, and it's afflicted. So we can check the transit chart. This is very powerful. Look at this Rahu at 11 degrees in Cancer today. So just mentally pick up this Rahu and slide it over here. It's sitting exactly on top of her moon. And it came on top of her moon pretty much the beginning of June. At least it was close enough. It was like maybe 15, 14, 13, 12. And then at the end of June, it stopped at 11 degrees. So now it's stationary at 11 degrees on top of her moon. This is not easy. Moon is the public, Rahu's desire, so she has this real strong desire to go public with the knowledge that she has and to publish. But this is not good. This is an eclipse. This can eclipse her income and her friendships. So she'll probably lose a lot of friends over her activities. This Rahu was set on top of her moon for all of July, all of August, and all of September. Now Saturn is currently at 8 degrees in Sagittarius. It's sitting here. It aspects 3, 7, and 10 houses away. So at 8 degrees, it is aspecting her Mercury. See, Saturn ruling conflicts and disputes. In the 4th house of property, fixed assets. Its 3rd aspect right now is on, anytime a planet is within 5 degrees by conjunction or aspect, it has an impact. So this Saturn sitting in Sagittarius, you can round that off to about 9 degrees. Its 3rd aspect is on Mercury. Now Saturn is very slow right now. He is slowed down. He won't get less than 8 degrees retrograde. And then he'll come out of the 8 degrees and he'll go 9, 10, 11, 12. And then when he hits 13, he'll be on her rising sign degree, which is a disaster. This is not an arbitrary number. This rising sign degree changes about every 4 minutes of the day. It's very specific to a person's exact time of birth. 0 to 30 is possible. It took Professor Chowdhury something like 7 or 8 years working, 7 days a week, 6, 8, 10 hours a day, and he finally unlocked everything with this point, with this principle. This number is so important. It's called most effective point of every house. And any planet transiting close to the most effective point will have an impact in the house it occupies and in the houses it aspects. So right now, this Saturn is afflicting Mercury, ruling the chart. And Saturn rules conflicts and disputes, bankruptcy, fire theft, cheating against her, false allegations against her. But I suspect she's going to come under some heavy litigation. And this is slow moving. This Saturn will hang around at 8 degrees for a month or two. And then when it comes out, it'll go 9, 10, 11. It'll go right on top of that Mercury. And then it's going to go 12, 13. And when it gets to 13 degrees, even when it gets to 11 degrees, within a 2-degree orb of this number, it's going to have a tremendous impact. So when it gets around 11 degrees, it's going to be afflicting the 4th house. It'll afflict Mercury. It's going to afflict her 10th house of career and the 1st house of self. So my prediction, she's in pretty serious hot water here. I'm not saying that President Trump is not also in hot water, but she's going to have, really face some stress here. Let's see when this is going to be over. Let's see how long it lasts. So this is her birth chart. This inner circle is also this exact chart, and then this allows us to see the transits more easily. I knew there was something wrong with these transits because I'm on the wrong date. I was looking at, this is the date her older brother was killed. Her older brother was murdered. And Jupiter's older brothers. And it's debilitated. There's no protection in an old age, and it's combust. And Sun rules the house of losses. So let's get back to where we are. Today's the 15th. So let's watch this Saturn. It's at 8 degrees. I don't think you're going to see it go less than 8 degrees. It's retrograde. A month from now, it's still 8 degrees, but now it's no longer retrograde. Now it's going to start coming direct. So here it's going to be 9 degrees. Around the middle of October. And at 9 degrees sitting here in Sagittarius, it's going to be afflicting this Mercury at 11 degrees. A month later, it's going to be at 11 degrees. Rounded off to 12 is fine. But this Rahu is going to be afflicting this Mercury. And now at 11, 12 degrees, it is also going to afflict the 4th house, the 10th house, and the 1st house. So that affliction will be over when Saturn gets to about 16 degrees. So this is at about 12 degrees. Here's 15. Here's 16. So my prediction is that from now till December 21st, there's tremendous stress in her life. Look at this. She's in the Saturn subperiod, which is not favorable. It rules conflict, litigation, disputes. So from now to December 21st, this Saturn, which is the operating planet, the subperiod ruler, is going to cause a lot of stress in the 4th house of property. And on Mercury ruling the chart, it can cause a lot of stress for her, conflicts, disputes, litigation, health issues, mental tension, financial issues. And its 7th aspect will be afflicting her 10th house of professional life and the 1st house of self. So, big challenges. Yeah, she's in that Saturn period. Okay, these are the main points on this chart. Main thing is that people should do the planetary remedies for their chart. Do the twofold remedy, strengthen the favorable planets, and do the charities for the planets that cause adverse effects. It doesn't matter what we find in the chart, it matters whether we fix what we find in the chart. So she would need to do some remedies, especially for the Saturn subperiod. Okay, I hope this reading is helpful. Namah Shivaya.